the strongest Invincible characters. From the very beginning, I'll explain which characters I definitely won't take into the top. The mysterious entity I won't consider, because this being by strength is like the presence in DC or the one above all from Marvel. Roughly speaking, it's just a deity, or the author's tool. I give it 0 place. I also won't take Mark after 500 years because it's unclear how strong he is. Many say, well, he defeated Alan after 500 years. Wow, that same Alan. I'm not saying Alan is really weak, but considering Mark at 20 years old was already stronger than Alan, well, such an achievement. Argyle didn't make the top because he's not revealed. Thess is slightly better, but also showed little. Omnipotus, well, the dinosaur is to blame for not being in this top. Well, and I didn't know where to shove the Ragnars. They're essentially definitely stronger than ordinary purebred Viltrumites. Dodge Battle Beast doesn't count either. And characters like Spawn, Witchblade, or Sea King also go to hell, as do alternative marks. I don't think I forgot anyone, so let's start with first place and go to 20. First place clearly goes to Thragg. Everything's in order here. He underwent grueling training aimed at weeding out the perfect candidate. As a result, they got Freddie Mercury, who by his aura alone makes Thanos Lukashenko crawl on his knees. Without much strain, he fought with Mark and Nolan, not receiving any damage from the first ones at the first meeting. Many, of course, will remember that moment when Thragg was knocked out by a crowd of Craig, Lucan, Anissa, and Thula. Well, first, they attacked him as a group, and second, Thragg didn't expect betrayal and was beaten. Second place goes to Battle Beast. In his first appearance, he managed without much effort to roll over Mark and Earth's defenders without strain. Without much effort, he cuts Ragnars to pieces, who are capable of taking down even a Viltrumite. And in principle, he's capable of solo destroying entire armies and cities on a planet. Also, Battle Beast is the only one of Invincible's characters who fought against Thragg on equal terms. And this battle was truly legendary. By the way, this is Katakuri who actually cosplayed Battle Beast, not Battle Beast cosplaying Katakuri. Third place is Mark. Many from the Invincible community dislike Mark for one reason or another. Nevertheless, this doesn't cancel the fact that Mark is still strong. Even if you discard tropes like plot armor and royals in the bushes, being almost a purebred Viltrumite, Mark has one advantage over other Viltrumites. Adrenaline, which gives him a decent boost, thanks to which he's capable of overpowering even such opponents as Conquest. Only Mark has one serious flaw. He held back in some situations and in certain moments, as a result of which even those opponents who were weaker than him at the current moment gained advantage over him, like Thula or Anissa. Against Grandma, he basically didn't want to fight, and against Anissa, well, yes. But overall, at the moment of battle with Conquest, Mark was already reliably stronger than his dad. Fourth place is Conquest, considered one of the strongest and oldest Viltrumites, not counting Thragg. And everything would seem good. An old warrior from brain to bones, having rich combat experience of over 1,000 years. But Mark beat him up, let's figure it out. Conquest reliably passed GTA when Viltrumites organized a purge within their own race. Good, he's already strong. He took active participation in the military expansion of the Viltrumite Empire. Good, he survived the Scourge virus pandemic. Excellent. He managed to survive after collision with Ragnars, albeit at the cost of a scar on half his face and minus an arm, acquiring an infinity gauntlet from AliExpress. But what exactly was Conquest doing throughout all this before he was sent to Earth to Mark? Well, obviously he was engaged in the fun game of rape and kill on other planets. Even by his own words, he all this time practically never met any worthy opponent when he was sent on missions to other planets. By such logic, it turns out all those opponents he met during this time were generally unequal to Viltrumites. And Thanos Lukashenko essentially crushed extras if not lower. Conquest's regenerative level is worse than other Viltrumites, but this debuff can be attributed to the fact that he previously survived the virus pandemic. From Conquest's words, other Viltrumites avoided and feared him. The question is, what can he be feared and avoided for? For his strength and cruelty, or simply because he's crazy? Yes, undoubtedly, in one-on-one confrontation, he'll be stronger than most shown Viltrumites, including Nolan and Thragg's generals. Nolan, by the way, even said himself that he would never become such a warrior as Conquest, which already says something. Fifth place is Nolan. Nolan in his best years was not only one of the best warriors of the Empire, but also generally had a decent career, not only in the military field alone. Even when he softened a bit after 20 years of living on Earth, this didn't stop him from dealing with Earth's guardians and solo destroying Flaxons. But after Mark therapy, Nolan seemed to start getting weaker and weaker as the plot progressed. If against Lucan and Thula, Nolan still held quite decently, then later he started getting defeated more and more often facing such opponents as Conquest, Thragg, and Alan. And if the defeat to the first two can still be understood, then the defeat to Alan is completely incomprehensible. Did Nolan really soften so much during this time that some relative of Jogo with remnants of Mahoraga managed to beat him? A maximally strange defeat that raises, of course, many questions. This is the top 5. I warn you that further will go characters who may be interchangeable. And a character who, for example, stands in 7th place can defeat a character who stands in 6th place or vice versa, plus or minus. 6th and 7th places are occupied by Dinosaurus and Alan. Both are equally strong in terms of physical strength. This was even noted by Dinosaurus in the comic. Both are strong enough to deal with opponents at the level of ordinary Viltrumites. Alan even beat Nolan himself, and Dinosaurus so easily tore apart Mark's clones, which is already strong. Both are quite resilient. In Alan's case, it's adaptation, and Dinosaurus is just resilient. Both potentially could become even stronger. If Alan is beaten for a long time, he can become overpowered. Dinosaurus can achieve a similar result due to his genius intellect if he set himself the goal of becoming stronger. Perhaps in terms of adaptation, Alan may be slightly more resilient than Dinosaurus, as he's capable of surviving a point-blank bomb explosion and even not burning completely for some time on the sun's surface. But on the other hand, Dinosaurus also doesn't lag behind the one-eyed one, as he managed to survive damage from Thragg, managed to escape from him while in a disabled state, shed his form, take a shower, take a shit, and again restore his form. In general, 6th and 7th places are interchangeable. 8th place is Eve, a disgustingly written character in terms of powers. She supposedly has a limiter not allowing her to directly harm living beings, but nobody cancels manipulation of space and inanimate objects. Making air dense is easy. Turning an apple to gold like a fucking Midas is no problem. Transmutation of inanimate objects and their conversion into something else is easy. And everything would be fine if not for her stupidity in critical situations, because of which she can lose even to those who don't have such a wide range of powers as she does. She also has an ultimate with temporary removal of limitations. It only works at the moment when she's near death, and only for a short period of time, during which she may not accomplish anything seriously significant. In general, an extremely situational character who can defeat both those standing higher in the top and get beaten by extras. 9th place is divided between as many as 4 candidates: Uncle Bogdan Craig, Lucan, Anissa, and Thula. All 4 are stronger than ordinary Viltrumites and are quite capable of fighting against non-peak Mark and Nolan. Finding out who among them is strongest is quite difficult, as all 4 showed quite few serious fights. But it can definitely be said that Thula will be weaker in this quartet, as a far from peak Mark beat her quite calmly. Anissa in this regard looks clearly stronger, as she quite dominated in some moments over Mark himself. Lucan held up worthily against Nolan, and even managed to inflict serious damage on him while being heavily wounded. Craig in this regard showed much less. Well, except that he took active participation in the final battle against Thragg and his army of children. But first, everyone participated in this battle, and second, Thragg's children possessed far less durability compared to purebred Viltrumites due to Thraxan genes. Therefore, 9th place can be arranged approximately in this order. Thula is weaker than Anissa, and Anissa is weaker than Craig and Lucan. In the case of the last 2, it's up to you. 10th place goes to Space Racer, and that with a very big stretch. Actually an extremely inconvenient character in terms of comparing strength with anyone, as in battle he relies on his space motorcycle and his Uber gun, which one-shots Viltrumites and even entire planets. Expectedly in direct confrontation, he won't stand like a pillar on Earth and will actively use both his wonder weapons, because of which he'll have clear advantages over those who clearly aren't adapted to flight. You could say he's homeless without his gun and his bike, and it would be absolutely correct to note this if this bike and gun weren't directly connected to this alien. His bike materializes out of nowhere, and the gun returns to his hand steadily like Thor's Mjolnir and doesn't work in anyone else's hands except Space Racer himself. Nevertheless, we reliably know that he was once defeated by Nolan, simply by walling him under rocks. And although we don't know details of their fight, the fact remains a fact, which already says that even with his bike and gun, Space Racer is quite defeatable. Well, and of course, let's not forget about that same mechanic that prevented the green-skinned Xenos from shooting Thragg. Although perhaps he just realized that Thragg is much more durable than a planet, probably, and just got scared. 11th and 12th places are occupied by Robot and Tech Jacket. The first is Akamzat Oba and Tony Stark, who with preparation can significantly screw over even current Mark. The second has a cool suit of alien technology, which is essentially like a multi-tool having many aces up his sleeve, thanks to which he's capable of killing opponents at least at the level of ordinary Viltrumites. Well, and we were well shown how he fried an alternative Mark, and Tech Jacket seemingly looks more promising here due to his more awesome suit than Robot. But unlike Robot, who has a bunch of various suits which he can also control remotely, Zach Thompson has only one suit available, which significantly eases finding the target for the opponent. Yes, on one hand, in spontaneous confrontation without preparation, Tech Jacket looks more priority, but with preparation, the situation can take a different outcome. And the suits themselves of Tech Jacket and Robot don't give them 100% guarantee that they can't be penetrated at all. Characters who possess sufficient strength can quite penetrate both. Well then, we've distributed more or less decent characters who are strong, but further the top can become even more controversial. And here it's to your taste. 13th place is Brit. In durability, he's not bad. He managed to take down an alternative Mark. Well, and plus he has various gadgets. 14th place is even more controversial, it's Monster Girl. In principle, not bad in terms of physical strength, but in her monster form, she practically has nothing except physical strength. With speeds, she's also in trouble. 15th place character, he's the Immortal. His durability is definitely worse than the girls and Brits, but he fought with Nolan for some time. 16th place, let it be Shapesmith. Those below will unlikely do anything to him, but characters with Viltrumite level reaction can catch him. 17th place is the Twins. Shapesmith can definitely take them because they simply have no experience against such opponents. Well, and they're non-purebred Viltrumites, so they're less durable, as is Oliver in principle, who stands in 18th place. 19th place, War Woman. Yes, I know, also controversial, but the further we go, the fewer cool characters remain. Well, and let Rexplode be in 20th place. I'm sure commenters will find 1001 characters who will be cooler than him. Yes, a cool ability with explosions, but the problem is that explosions are simply useless against those who have good durability. And Rexplode's speed is complete shit. That's the top I got. As I said, from 1st to 12th place, everything goes more or less normally. Well, after that comes complete darkness because cool characters simply ended, and I had to stretch an owl over a globe. I'll definitely wait for your comments as well as your tops. Well, thanks for watching, leave likes and subscribe to the channel.